detail and stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I saw you over, Mom.
This is actually being easy.
Yeah.
Don't you worry.
I saw the pictures in the Halo Bay Health District.
Yeah, that was
Pictures are
great.
well
So,
turned.
the Hanover Bay Health District was a great turnout, great
God.
event.
It was so good, just inspiring, it was a real celebration.
It was very good.
You did very good speeches off
Was
the cuff
good.
without paper in front of you.
It was.
I was very impressed.
When it's
Michelle
in
was very
here,
impressed.
it's very easy.
Yeah, I could tell that Michelle was impressed.
Yeah, it was good, and I.
Everyone, welcome to Leadership Team. We are gonna start off with Mackenzie's riveting ADP training.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do a quick overview. Everybody here is probably aware now that we moved to ADP for performance evaluations for AFSCME and non-rep employees. Teamsters are currently excluded. In an effort to streamline processes and make things a little bit easier for everybody. And we have an update, so September, I launched it to everybody, we sent the whole email out, and so anybody who has an anniversary in October and November are our first official groups going through it versus our long 6 months of tests. So everybody's officially in here now, which is great news, and they've been launched up through November. And now we have a section on the intranet under the documents page under human resources. Let me share my screen with you. There we go. So on this documents tab under human resources on the right hand side, if you scroll probably 3/4, maybe halfway down, there's a section now called performance. So I've sent emails each month that have instructions for managers and employees every time. I don't wanna have to do that every month, and so let's put it out there for everybody to be able to find as needed. So both the manager guide and employee guide are out here. And then there is a template, which is a Word document. I will open that one up. Quick. This is what both employees, managers can use before they go into ADP. ADP should save as you go. But the event that you're not trusting or you wanna have it for your own information, you can download this Word document and go through all the questions and the competencies and fill them out ahead of time, save it. So when you go to ADP, you can copy and paste this if that makes your life easier. Totally optional, just another tool for you guys to use. And then
Thank you for creating that.
you're welcome. And then here is, I'll go over the manager one since everybody here is a leader. This is the manager guide for annual evaluations. So this just walks through that you should get your notifications via email or in your things to do tab or both in ADP. What we have found since launching these is originally we were told that they go to the employees first and they have their time to do it and management doesn't get it until after. However, that was false and you guys get them at the same time the employees do them. So you can do them at the same time. The great news about that is that actually gives you guys more time to complete them as leaders. You'll have the full employee amount and your time frame. So I think you guys have 15 days to complete them. I can make extensions if needed, just reach out to me, happy to do that. So these instructions are here as well. So accessing the dashboard.
Question, how long do the employees have to do it?
10 days.
Okay, that's
Yep.
perfect, because I don't like to do one until I've received the self-eval, because it helps inform my idea of their goals and what they think they've achieved.
So you have an additional 5 after that. We may extend it a little bit more as time goes on and we figure out what's needed. So there may be minor adjustments still. The good news about having them in ADP now is once you've completed the performance evaluations, every year you're gonna be able to go back and look at the historical. I know a lot of leaders reach out now, can I see the one I did last year?
Yeah.
To base it off of, they'll already be in there, so that's gonna be super helpful going forward. If you need old ones now, again, send me an email and I'll send them to you. So it tells you how to navigate to your talent dashboard, so on ADP, you're gonna go to My Team, and then Talent and Performance Dashboard, and then it will show you anybody active, and then there will be a tab for historical as well. You can search for employees by name. This just shows a little screenshot of an example, things to do, additional reviews. If you are department head, you may have to approve, just like you'd sign a normal eval, whether you participated or not, you'll view it in here and acknowledge that you've seen it, before it goes back to the employee.
And a self-eval is optional for the employee,
It is
correct?
still optional currently, yes. So you may get it blank and may just have to ask, did you mean
Oh,
to
does
submit
the,
something?
does the employee still need to like click something?
It does, so
inside
in the employee
system?
instructions, it does tell them to actively not participate, so you know that they are choosing not to do it and not just letting it float out there. So that is that document, and then there's one very similar out here for employees as well. And then I will just quickly show you what it looks like from my standpoint. Before, it was all Excel spreadsheet. When did I send it? Did I ever get it back? Every month I would check when I sent out the new ones. So this, if I go to, I have different 6-month employee evals for new people. The leadership's got different set of questions and employee performance evaluations. And this is what it looks like. It will show me all active, who the reviewers are, and then under review milestones, it will tell you whether it's the employee self-assessment or reviewer feedback, and then the due dates. So if an employee says, hey, I did my part, where is it? Here it is, or it was never done because there's a prompt that you have to approve them at the very end. Maybe it gets stuck in here. So better visibility for HR to make sure we get them back. And then sometimes we have employees reach out and say, hey, can I get my completed eval for my file? And maybe we haven't received it yet. So I think better for everybody to keep track of the flow of things. That's all I have for you guys. So, any questions?
Not till I actually try to do it probably, and then
Right.
I will have a whole bunch.
Okay,
Like, where did you say to click?
Yeah. happy to answer, but that's why we posted on the intranet, because we knew we were gonna get a lot of questions, and I'll still send out the emails probably for a little while, but in case you don't wanna go find your email, just post it right there for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that is exciting. I know that's been in the work for a long time and appreciate your hard work to make that happen. Hope that will just make things easier for everybody.
It's a great system, this is the one we've been
Yeah.
using, I love it, it's easy, I like being able to see their comments. Instead of going into an eval and you don't know what they're gonna say. You know, and to your point, having read those, I actually do mine and then I go back and I read theirs before I save mine. And there's these great intersections of agreement and just those aha moments where you can see where you're actually on the right track with them, and it's really good.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Awesome. Yeah, I really like it.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
Welcome.
Okay, anything else for Mackenzie while she's here?
Are you leaving?
It's up to, yeah, she can.
If you're
Yeah.
leaving, yes.
Okay.
So,
I
I
for the first part of the HR report, that'd be great, Heather.
Yeah, well, I wanted to pass along that in my regular meeting last week with Don Algeier, we were talking about HR issues in the library. And he said, I just really want to praise Mackenzie because she is so very helpful and professional. And I'm sure she's getting a lot of, I don't remember the word he used, but like a lot of people pushing on you to do things that some you can do and some you can't do, but you're just handling it beautifully, and he's really grateful for your work and your help, and I wanted to pass that on.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay, does everybody have one of these? updates, starting with HR. Operations and services assessment, we've started looking at some different vendors, I think we have some good options before us, just trying to plan the timing and capacity on when we can actually work through that process, but that's slowly moving along. Job classification study, we are making our way through bargaining, it's going generally well, I would say overall on the job description review. But that is still moving. Non-rep Teamsters, final formatting and then waiting for bargaining to talk about those and share that information, so that's a little bit on hold. Compensation and pay equity study, we received, HR received 2 weeks ago, the preliminary recommendations for non-rep Teamsters and part-time and elected official groups, and expecting the final report this week, and then we'll coordinate when we can talk, cause we can't talk about that in executive session. So we'll coordinate when we can talk about that in public. I'm hoping this month, but we'll see depending on bargaining. We have 2 upcoming sessions in October, that is all that's scheduled, so I don't know if we're gonna be going into November or not, I suspect we may, but there's nothing scheduled yet. Teamsters bargaining session, so this is for the new sergeants group, we have a session this month. And you'll be meeting in executive session next week to talk about that. The employee manual has made its way through bargaining.
Oh,
And I wouldn't say it's
Oh my
TA yet,
gosh.
but it's made its way through bargaining, and
Wow.
so we're gonna be doing some final formatting and
Wow.
adding some non-ASME related information in it that we've been waiting on, and then we'll be able to circulate that to the leadership team, so I'm hoping by the end of the month you all have a draft of that.
That's amazing, cause the last one was approved in like 2014, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's been a minute. Let's see. Training program, so we had a great Gallup training, creating an engaging workplace. We had a really good turnout from the leadership team and some managers. They went over the 12 elements of an engaging workplace. I thought it was a really good training, and we'll be talking with Mackenzie about, they had a concept of pulling one of those concepts out and focusing on the whole county. So part of what didn't work the last time we had a Gallup training was it just nothing came out of it. And so if we took one of those and HR was pushing some trainings out and just throughout the year, we could focus on that. So some ideas that we're thinking of. I don't know if anybody else has any feedback on if you attended the training, your thoughts, if you wanted to share.
I did attend the training, I thought it was great, and there were numerous things in it that I carried away from the meeting and immediately started to apply. For example, one of the questions in the survey, and one of the ideas is that at the very basic bottommost level, people need to know what's expected of them in their jobs. And I thought about new people, do new people know fully what's expected in their jobs, especially new jobs? Where do we all know, does anybody know exactly what's supposed to happen in this job? And I thought about board members, like on community boards I'm on, as we onboard new board members, do they know what's expected of them in their job? Probably not. So it's really very useful to apply even that one tool. And I was thinking about situations that I'm aware of where people are unhappy in their jobs or they're not functioning well. And I wonder, just starting there, do they know what's expected of them in their jobs? So I think that those principles, I love the idea of us as a leadership team choosing 1 or 2 basic principles to focus on every year and doing it together and talking about how we're doing it, how, and so that we can see our progress and share our progress. I thought it was great.
Comments, and it is recorded and available on the Gallup login.
It should be.
Is that right? Yeah, so if you weren't able to attend, you can, maybe you could send that reminder out to leaderships.
Did they send us the slide deck?
I think it's in
I think I
there.
have it,
Okay,
yeah. All down, okay, thank you.
So Rachel, one thing that Commissioner Val and I were talking about when we were in one of our small breakout sessions was the other thing, and I think the employee recognition, the longevity of how many employees we have that are here for years is the training people that have been in their jobs for years, they're not changing, how do we keep them engaged and find ways to give them training and make sure their jobs remain relevant and meaningful to them too. So that was something that I talked about. Great point.
Okay, that's all I was gonna cover under HR. Any questions on HR matter? Legal, feel free to say if you want, but I know you have a lot of things to do.
Thanks for thinking.
Thank you.
Mackenzie. So we had our second and final interview with a candidate last Friday. I apologize that we had to cancel the meet and greets, and we may have been excited to attend. He was unable to get over Highway 6 because of the accident Friday, and so he went all the way around and was able to make it for the interview, but not the meet and greet. So I'm sorry you weren't able to meet him. And I don't have an update that I can share today, but I will keep you updated on the progress of how that is moving forward. Information services, similar to HR operations and services assessment, we have a couple of vendors that we're looking at to do the assessment for that department and timing it with capacity and other things going on. Brandy's gonna speak to the customer survey, maybe some high points today. We got a good response on that, and she'll do a more detailed report out in November, but she can hit some points today. And then you may have just saw in your email, you received the updated AI policy for you to review. And we can maybe talk about that more in November. On the facilities front, the courthouse space needs assessment report should be here in a week or so. You all know where that landed. We need more space. We're looking at an annex and a light renovation in the courthouse over a longer period of time. And then under the implementation of the assessment, we are buying the BLM building that we can finally talk about. So that is exciting. And with the court facilities task force convening through AOC to go after OJD funding, which is a biennial process, the board would like to explore the ADA access here at the courthouse. So if we can get that funded through state money, there's nothing that we are looking at this point that would keep us from doing that work, meaning that we're not looking at an annex on the south lawn where we would need to redo the ADA access. So I feel confident that we can do that in an isolated project. So that is exciting. Questions on the BLM property? This is all new. We haven't convened in a space where leadership could talk about it. Does anybody have any comments or questions about kind of the bigger picture and plan?
Just to be clear, because what I read about that, it sounds like it's, the original plan was to move the court over there, and us, there wasn't gonna be enough space, so now it sounds like we're moving other offices over there.
Correct.
We're all staying
Yep,
here. That's how I understood it, okay.
Yep. Cool, yeah. Courthouse roof replacement, we'll be talking about that a little bit at the financial workshop this afternoon, but basically we need a new roof. It's unfortunate that it has come sooner than it should have. There's a variety of reasons for that. It's about $650,000. I'm expecting it's all just gonna come from what's sitting in 301 at this point. It wouldn't be a financing option, but we'll talk about that today. So I wanted to get through the meeting today and get the thumbs up to actually proceed with that, and then we need to be bidding for that this fall, so we have a summer contractor lined up.
Rachel, was there any insurance that was gonna? Nope.
No, we
You
tried
said no.
legal, we tried insurance, the only thing CIS will do for us is help pay for costs of repair from damage inside the courthouse, but not.
And
the
is it
roof
worth
itself.
it if it's gonna come back on us later in our rates?
I don't think it's coming back on rates, it's only like $20,000, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. No, good
Not
question.
worth it, thank you.
Okay, backside under finance, so, solid waste, public works, working on the utility permit fee, solid waste recycling franchise fee. The public service charge, we do have some money left over in the Tiberius contract that did the opportunities analysis, and so we're gonna leverage that, that's sitting there from ARPA to explore the public service charge that the board has supported, looking forward, looking into. So Deborah and I have started meeting with Tiberius on that particular project. There's a lot that goes into that, so it's a capacity issue for us to tackle that one, so we're using Tiberius at this point. Let's see, so in the October 6th packet, you may have seen the Tiberius report. That is the report that we've been waiting on, released publicly. It's been done since July. You now all have it. There's a lot in there, a lot of good stuff. And we'll be diving into some of that this afternoon. We've also contracted with Tiberius for the financial assessment. This work should be done by the end of December. They have all of the books for the last at least decade. They're running a series of analytics, scenarios, they're doing a policy audit, they'll be recommending policies that we need. So there's a lot that's gonna be kind of concurrent with things that we're talking about in the work session, but the goal of it being going toward the financial plan. So the financial assessment is one of the last pieces we need to put forth a financial plan. And then October 6th, again, you received materials this weekend, and before I just sent some updated ones over the weekend. I'm expecting at least 3 hours today. Probably don't expect you to sit in this room, but do listen in. It's gonna be a lot of good information. You're gonna wanna tune in. The first part will be Deborah reporting out on financials, so we have a new report style. We wanna hear feedback about what your thoughts are on how that went. Is it information that you're expecting to hear? Do you understand it? Can we make tweaks to those reports? And then the middle of the meeting will be me providing an update on all of these projects, like the roof, the Tiberius report. So we can then have the board and then have staff recommendations and then have the budget committee deliberate on where we're gonna take all of this. So there's a lot of, Michael said spaghetti. There's a lot of spaghetti thrown on the table. What are we gonna do with the spaghetti and how are we moving forward? So it's gonna be a very robust meeting. We have a lot to move through, so we'll be moving the conversation along as I can. And then under executive team deliberation, I just wanted to highlight, I expect a lot of action items to come out of the work session that we'll be then putting in front of the executive team. And we have a regular monthly meeting now that's scheduled. And then on other fronts, the radio RFP closed and we had 2 proposals. So we are now in the reviewing proposal phase. Questions?
It's a great report. That represents so much work. So I just wanna thank you and everyone else who is working on these
There's
projects.
a lot behind the scenes, yeah.
A lot.
Well, that's really exciting because we didn't have this kind of work going on in this way previously, you know, I mean, this really is a visual representation, if you will, of the evolution of the county that we undertook thanks to the strategic plan, right? And so it's really exciting to see it all in one place and to really begin to see how all the pieces are weaving together, so thank you for that.
Okay, let's go around the room. Sarah?
So we received a DLCD grant, we found out last week, to do the second phase of Senate Bill 406. The CAC meetings have resumed again now that summer is over, so my plan is to pull CAC representation from each of the communities to broaden the development committee of the Housing Commission and pull them together to do that work together. We are interviewing this week for the Planner 1 and the OS2 that'll be part of the Housing Division, so the timing of all of that is great. The master agreement for MERL, which is the Moderate Income Revolving Loan Fund, was sent to me. I have it out to Bill and Parker. As soon as they look at it, send it to Isabel and Rachel. It's created by OHCS, so I'm not sure they'll let us change it, but good to look at it. And then just a lot of projects. We're still busy. We have implemented the BESA agreement, which is that multi-jurisdictional agreement for plan reviews with other counties and cities, and that has been a wonderful tool for us. And because a lot of jurisdictions are slowing down, we're actually getting permits and plan review times done very quickly. Those other jurisdictions are really hungry for the work. So it's been a good change. And the FEMA letter went out. That went out Friday.
Did you hear back from anybody that was on the meeting from FEMA? That
I
day?
did not.
I thought you might have got a call.
No, I think they're all on a unplanned hiatus.
Yeah, because they're funding it on the 30th.
Right, so yes, but if
They're not
anyone,
essential.
if anyone does ask on the community call tomorrow, even with the shutdown, what I did hear was that please continue to email comments to FEMA. They actually prefer that over mail because they don't know with the federal shutdown what they're going to have for mailing staff to get all the comments in via mail distributed timely. So email is still the best way to go.
Like Rachel mentioned, we closed customer survey, we got some great responses, and I think we're seeing some themes, so I'll summarize the findings and I'll follow up with you guys on the results. And I wanted to thank everyone who filled it out. Feedback is just really valuable and important for us, so thank you. And then I did wanna mention, Ring Central on like the 29th of September, they enabled AI assistant for the entire organization. It was sort of on accident. Our team was looking to ask about the closed captioning. I think it already comes with closed captioning, but they were like, hey, you guys can improve it if you just turn this on. So it got turned on. A few people reached out to me. They were like, we're not ready for this. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know it was on. So I worked with them to turn it back off. But if it's something you guys are interested in, if your department's interested in it for the future, it's something we can work into a policy. But I just wanna let you know if you saw it pop up and you're like, what is this? It's been taken care of. And I think that's really all I've got for you guys.
So is the recording, you can record your conversations, is that what you're
So
talking about?
That
So I
was the
noticed
AI.
that.
So they have
There's
two
some- that was new.
they had two separate features, so there's an AI transcription, and it will transcribe, it will also improve the closed captioning. But it'll transcribe your conversation, and it'll leave it as something you can refer back to later. And then there's an AI assistant, I didn't look too far into it, cause I was like, we don't have our AI policy in place, I just wanna get it turned off.
Well, I was just messing with it and I noticed
Oh,
it said you
yeah.
could record, so I clicked record on a conversation
Yeah,
and it was
and what
typing
it-
it all up.
Yeah, what it does is it records it, it lets the other person on the other end know that it's being recorded by AI, so.
Hey Chris, I recorded you the other day just cause I wanted to push the button and see what it did. Sorry,
You should have heard.
Yeah.
you didn't say anything,
right?
you didn't say anything, but anyway, I just didn't know what it did, so I pushed the button.
Yeah,
It wasn't
so-
a link.
And I will say it's a cool feature, but I was like, when we roll it out, we'll want to do it in a way that's more organized and people know about it and how to use it, so.
That is a cool feature. Immediately my brain goes to some angry people who call and give me verbal abuse on the phone. I should be recording them.
Yeah.
They'd probably stop it. You are being recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
I'll-
idea.
I'll just say my office panicked.
Yeah.
Because now what was not previously public record is a
It's
public
now
record.
public record.
So I don't know if Joel had the same panic, but I know one of my staff members was one of the ones reaching out like, no, we don't want things.
It didn't do it automatically, I had to click a button.
Ours was automatic. Apparently somebody had a conversation that was, I mean, there's rules to public records laws anyway where it might not be subject to disclosure anyway. But phone conversations are not public records. If they get written, now they're public records that we have to at least look at to see if they are subject to disclosure. So the lawyers in the room are like, no.
Yeah, that was something we were like, oh, yeah, this is gonna take a lot more consideration and thought, so.
Like I said, I was just messing around.
Oh, well, I think a few people were, yeah. Just so y'all know, there's a lot of Teams meetings, and I know I've been in meetings where somebody has an AI transcriber transcribing the meeting. Just, you might wanna think about that when you're in other people's meetings, if there is a written transcription. You might wanna just assume.
I think in general anymore though, it says you're being recorded. You're being.
True, but there's gonna be a difference between an audio recording and a written transcription of what you said.
You'll see it
Solid
as the
waste.
people, they're on the attend,
You'll see
like,
AI
we have
for that.
meetings, I kick them out, like, buy out the board meetings and stuff, or my city manager meetings.
because
Mar-
they're not recorded.
Marlene has a question.
Can you repeat it?
Once the AI policy is finalized, will we be using the transcription function for defined purposes?
It's something we can add into the AI policy if enough people are interested. And we'll probably wanna create training around it before we officially, cause to that point, it'd also be public record. That's, so, something to consider for the future, but it's not added into the policy at this moment. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, I won't push the button again.
Thanks.
The button should be gone now,
I think the
right?
button's gone now.
It was
Um,
something new, it wasn't a link, so
It was, yeah, no,
it was cool
worries.
watching it come
It's
up there on
really
the
cool.
screen. I don't know where it's at now, but.
But to Aubrey's concern, you have to activate it for it to happen, for it to record.
Yeah, I think from what I understood, you should be able to hit the button and then it would announce to that other person that it's recording. But I think the feature itself was turned on by default for everybody. So they would, click the button, just be,
And now it's not.
now it's not there.
Okay. Let us know if that goes back.
If it shows back up.
If it shows,
Thank you, Ring Central.
yeah, thanks Ring Central.
Oh, technology.
Sean?
So next couple of months will be a little short-staffed, and I will remind you, November comes up really quick with a lot of holidays in it, so please remember to sign the time cards, approve the time cards if you're planning on taking any days off, for your employees. Otherwise, we're just swimming along with our heads up.
For us, not a whole lot, except for personnel, which is always an issue. We had a really good we had a very good interview a couple days, a month ago. We offered out 8 different backgrounds for all 3 divisions. Now, the background position part of it didn't go so well. We only got 2 of them made it through background, so out of those 8, which is a little frustrating. But one of them is currently a deputy in Iowa, which we're pretty excited about. He's moving out here, following his fiance. He's gonna have a bit of a culture shock. He comes from a county of about 5,000 people, including the sheriff and the chief deputy. There's 5. So
We think we're small, not even.
five persons. So he responds to the call, arrests the person, takes them to jail, books them in, feeds them lunch. And if they stay over 24 hours, he transports them to another county. So it's a very, very small part. So
One-stop shop.
yeah.
Maybe.
So I think the call volume's gonna have to learn a little bit because it sounds like that. But he's one of the better interviews I've had in a long time. He's a really seems like he'll be a quality guy.
And you're not looking at 18 months to train up.
I'm expecting 2 to 3 months, depending on that. He's gonna have to learn that Oregon law, go to the academy for a 2-week condensed session of training, cause he'll know the basics. He's been on for 2 years, a little over 2 years. So he'll know most of it, but he'll have to learn the Oregon part of it. It should be, I'm hoping by the beginning of the year, we'll have something.
Cool.
January, February, where he can hold on. The other one was a jail deputy, but he'll be learning from the ground up. But other than that, we'll be opening back up. And then our other new issue is, it seems like everybody is out with some kind of light duty issues, significant injuries. We have 2 on the criminal, 2 in the jail, which is a struggle, but hopefully beginning of November, we'll be getting back up to where these people will be back to full duty. So I'm hopeful. Other than that,
Matt, is it, oh, sorry.
Matt.
Is it mostly criminal history that bumps people out of the background check?
some, in this current applicant pool, we did have some people that it's surprising that they put in for a cop job because they do have, I mean, it was in their early adult years that they made some critical errors, but they're felonies, you're pretty much screwed. Even if the case got dismissed, it shows a pattern or something like that. We had several that were just integrity issues. You could find through their work history that they have significant integrity issues at several different jobs along the way, which is a big red flag for us.
Thank you. And also, this might be a city police question, but is there any update on our broken windows?
I have not heard anything. We're pretty confident who it is. It's probably Bradley Reeves, is the suspect, but the cameras don't line up, at the right time. He's wearing consistent clothing, which, probably that's who it is, so, but I'll ask, Mike and see if they know anything.
So CIS has a grant that I know we use for the HR cameras. Is there any way we can apply for that to add more, either the front or back? I mean, it wasn't a huge
Either
amount,
side,
$5,000 or $7,500, it wasn't a huge amount, but it is, I know that, I think that's where the cameras came from for HR.
And more cameras always, I mean, it seems like it, the one picture I seen was, you just seen the back of the person, it wasn't, I think it's Bradley Reeves,
get a distinct backpack too.
I think it's who it is. Isn't quite enough to arrest, I'm not sure. And it sounds like it.
And they went from here to care where they broke windows, broke windows as well, and that had happened, I don't know, whenever this one happened down here, one happened over there about the same time, and then.
Did it happen in Third and Main, Terry's building, the man's shop? They have one boarded up too, I didn't know if that was all the
See,
same.
that was, in a different, almost,
Different?
Anton. I think that's his name. He got arrested.
Is he,
No, he's out.
okay.
School's back in session, we're busier. We got referrals coming in more steadily. I believe we're keeping Aubrey busy reviewing cases for us. I got to do a transport last week. Speaking of building security, when I got back from that transport, there was someone sleeping behind the rhododendrons there on that end of the building. And is there a camera on that wall of the building?
I think so.
If we're gonna be adding cameras, that might be a good spot to add a camera.
I've always been saying that for a while.
And we're just doing our thing. I think Judge Trevino remarked to me last week about how much more often she's seeing us in the courtroom. So we're, it's starting to feel like pre-COVID days. So I'm happy about that. Somewhat.
Well, it means that there's help provided,
Yeah.
as opposed to them just doing what they do and nobody knows.
Correct.
It's too late by the time we get to them, so.
I think that's all I have.
Yeah, we're busy. I'm having to juggle tasks right now and review the weekend arrests. Also, so we're super busy. I'm happy to announce that the VOCA funding crisis is over. So at the 11th hour, they were like, "Oh, you're gonna get your money." So I'm glad that I made the decision not to make a decision to hold. So I was like, I have a feeling this is gonna work out, so I'm not gonna do anything. And then I was like, that was the best decision. So we've been really working hard at our office to, I mean, we are fully staffed, but somehow it feels like we just don't have enough people to do all the work. There's just, in today's world, we are swamped. I mean, our cases are a lot, but there's a lot to the cases, a lot more than what existed 5 years ago. Now that every police officer in the county has a body camera that seems to run 24 hours a day. We get a case and it's not just as simple as read a paragraph and make a charging decision. It's, okay, 5 officers were on scene. I've got to pull the 911 records. I've got to see if there was anybody else on scene, because cops in this county love to show up on the scene and not tell anybody they were there or send us reports or things like that. So then we find out down the road, oh, they had a body camera running. We need that. So it takes us a lot more work to even just what seems like a standard run-of-the-mill case. It takes us a lot more man hours to process it. We do see, I feel like we see a lot more I don't know how to say this correctly. place, so we just see a lot more bizarre cases with bizarre acting individuals, put it that way. That creates a lot of challenges in the court system with, and it creates, I've also noticed this from the community members that I get a lot of questions and anger from community members because we've had a lot of changes in the laws over the last several years, that results in people being on the street when they expect them to be in custody. And just nothing I can do anything about. I'm
So you had your town hall a couple months ago.
it's been like 8 months now.
Would
since
that be
happened.
worth doing quarterly?
I
mean,
think
just-
so. I think so. I think one of the biggest issues I'm dealing with is like business owners who hear a lot of flack from community members, but I do think, and when we did that, I was thinking, let's do this twice a year. And you said it was a couple months ago, and I was thinking about that just the other day. Like, we just did one of those, and it was March.
Doesn't matter.
So it's like, oh,
I was listening
I
to
felt
it,
like
it
a
seemed
week
like
ago.
it had good attendance and especially from community members. And if information needs to get out, if it needs to go quarterly.
it does. I think
like
it does need to
yearly.
get out because it's tough to. It's hard. That's one of the biggest stressors of my job is feeling like I work 24 hours a day, working my tail end off, going into court and pushing against, objecting to people being released, and fighting back, finding issues where like somebody gets released when the presiding judge order actually says they should have been held, asking the court to remand them, and the court's like, well, the jail released them, so we're gonna leave them on release, and I'm just like, okay, those types of things, and then the community is just frustrated and thinks I'm not doing my job, and so I think those are beneficial, and I'd love to do another one just because a lot of times in our office we complain that we're hitting our heads against the wall, like we're up against a machine and we are doing everything in our power, but there've been a lot of changes over the last several years, but we are doing everything we can to work with law enforcement to help them make the strongest possible cases, trying to get evidence, trying to do what we can, trying to resolve cases in ways that is judicially efficient so that we're not on trial all the time, because I would be asking for more attorneys if we had to go to trial more often, but I think my team is doing an excellent job. We've got just a wonderful staff who cares. They seem to really care about the outcomes of cases and making sure that justice actually is served. Although you talk to different people, you're going to get a different definition of what justice is, but my office looks at it as we seek truth. We seek justice through truth. So we're always looking to find the truth. But when you have just so many different interests and trying to get to the heart of something, trying to figure out what's the root of a problem, why are we seeing the same names over and over again? We complain about that. Even in the juvenile department, I've joked, like, are there 5 kids? Are there just 5 kids in this county that want to keep being bad? How do we address that? How do we stop these same people from recidivating? So it is a major challenge that keeps us on our toes, keeps us very busy, but I'm very grateful for my team. I'm very grateful that we are able to keep our victims assistance program fully funded, because one of the things I did, I'll tell the whole county this now, but one of the things I did when I learned 2 months ago now that we were facing losing up to 80% of our VOCA funding, which was gonna be, first thing I did was have my victims assistance program coordinator who deals with the grants figure out what is the exact impact on our office. How do I not, what does that mean for our FTE? Am I gonna have to go to the county and beg for more money, or what do we need to do to streamline more? And she came to me and said, we can function minimally, bare minimum at 1.6 FTE. That was still gonna require me to go to the county and ask for more money, so we came up with, at 1.5 FTE, we won't have to ask for more money, we can survive. What does that do for our services? So I had my program coordinator go through, she is a spreadsheet whiz and amazing at stuff like this, so she went through and figured out, because I said, I've already been working to meet minimum bar legally, that's something that we have to do, but there's always best practices. We were all aware of that. We went through the strategic planning. What are our best practices? What can we do to be offer the best services to the community members, but be as efficient as possible. And so there were a lot of areas where we're meeting minimum requirements already barely, but we're not meeting any best practices. And so that's one of the things that we really wanna work toward doing better. So I feel confident now that we can do more than just scrape by at minimum requirements. And that was assuming that nobody's gonna get sick, nobody's gonna take extended time off, nobody's gonna have to take any family leave or anything like that. And then that was also looking at, okay, I'm gonna have to do these certain functions on my own to make sure that, because ultimately victims' rights laws follow me. So I was like, well, if we lose personnel, then I'm working extra hours to make sure that these requirements are met. So I'm very grateful for that and working hard with our team. My team has been, Christina, our victim assistance coordinator, just completed a year-long project I asked her to work on, which is creating a procedures guide for our victims assistance, just so that we can be more streamlined. So I'm speaking very negatively. I'm just very tired this morning and have a lot of work on my plate today. But very excited that I have such a strong team behind me that is working very hard to make sure that we can do this, that we are efficient, and that we are trying to provide the best possible service we can in light of all of our challenges and walls that we get to bang our heads against. So that's all.
Congrats on the VOCA funding, that's huge.
Is that,
That's
is
amazing.
that a 2-year funding cycle? Does it come up for renewal?
Yeah, I'm not worried about the shutdown. It just means we might not get the money yet, but we're supposed to get it. So I'm not worried about it, but yes, it's a 2-year grant cycle, and October 1st is the beginning of our 2-year grant. And so the information I got is just that what the deal was the federal government was imposing terms and conditions on our grant related to immigration enforcement, and several states sued. I haven't had time to dive into the weeds on how that worked out or exactly what the outcome was. I just got the big message: you're getting your VOCA money. So I don't, because at first it was like it's going to be a 1 year. What money we were going to get was just going to be for 1 year, and it was all up in the air. So I just breathed a sigh of relief. If it means that we have to revisit this in a year, then I'll deal with it then. But for right now, I'm comfortable. I'm just going to leave it at that. We're day by day.
Hey, online, Chris?
So we'll hit you a little rapid fire. Crystal Creek, Dry Creek, these are 2015 storm damages. The darn near done. Those were 2 bridges up Miami. We're looking at a partial closure on Wednesday, Thursday in order to do the final grinding of the road and to pave those. Kilches, which is also, Kilches Bridge, which is on the way to the park. That will be open by the end of October. The contractors mobilized in to do some stream work. Shortly after that will be guardrail and asphalt, or guardrail, and then we can get that opened up. Bay Ocean Road Bridge, that one is open. We'll see a little bit of work to be done on guardrails. You'll see a little bit of lane closure in order to get the guardrails up there, but that one's fully traversable. Legler Temporary Bridge, this is all the way up on highway, just near, it's off of Highway 53, right at the county line. Beams from Crystal Creek will be relocated to that bridge, and that'll be 2 days, Wednesday, Thursday this week, then that will be done. East Creek Retaining Wall, another 2015 storm event. That one was built or opened up to traffic about 2-3 weeks ago. That one is done. Fairground Storm Project, that was a 2015 storm event. It turned into a county funded project. That one is scheduled to be completed by the end of November. Contractors on status are on schedule to be done by the end of October. Weather is the uncertainty with that one. This summer we completed about $800,000 worth of paving. That's just the cost of asphalt. The Manzanita Transfer Station, that'll be seeing some construction popping up here in about a month. That is to expand some of the retaining walls that are up there. Pacific City Transfer Station is currently in design. That adds a building down there and makes that a much more attractive, not so much attractive, but functional use for that facility. The road foreman, 2 of 2 road foremen are absent due to retirements or advancement. We interview this Thursday for both of the road foreman positions. With the bridges and the retaining wall, we're actually done with our 2015 storm event damages. So we can take that one off the books, our 2023 declared storm and the 2024 declared storm. Those will, the retaining wall or the Sand Lake Road, where we currently 1 lane signalized, that's summer of 2027. So did see some impacts from ODOT with the potential for a shutdown. Big Trout was previously done, the Big Trout Bridge. We've got a request in for money from FEMA. We'll see if they buy that. Everybody saw in the papers the loss of federal timber. So road department gets federal timber, the state, or excuse me, the general fund gets state timber. So federal timber is pretty much off the books unless something changes. State highway fund, this is where everybody, you're going to be paying 6 more cents a gallon for that. And you also see an increase in registration fees. At the end of this fiscal year, if it all works out, we'll see the road department will see a net wash. We'll basically be even. The state highway fund will offset the loss of federal timber. And next week I go to OASIS, which is the Oregon Association of County Engineers and Surveyors, which is a subset of AOC. We like to be special, so we just did our own group. With that is, I'll know a lot more about financial predictions for the future based on the state transportation bill. Rapid fire, and there you go.
That's a lot of great projects. Thank you.
And a lot of things done and finished.
Yeah.
Busy summer.
2015 storm, this,
Almost
having
done.
that wiped off the books is gonna be amazing. 10 years. 10 years to recover from that storm. I think that's one of those key things that, just for me, it's a great number, right? When we're talking about how damaging storms can be on the coast. 10 years to recover. I mean, that's, wow.
And how long it can take to fund things.
Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. That's amazing.
Thank you, Chris. We are gonna jump to Marlene. I understand you got a meeting at 10.
I do, thank you. I'll keep it really short. Our primary focus right now is the in-depth discussion regarding our cost and revenue projections and those related objectives and strategies. We are engaging all of our managers and support teams in these discussions over this next month. We've done a lot of work up until this point. We're working with a firm called Community Link Consulting, who works primarily with federally qualified health centers like ours. And they're helping us with this process and analysis. So a lot of the strategies, you may see some of those things coming out more specifically in the next month or two that are already being implemented and some that will become more visible. For example, just like narrowing department facilities and maintenance costs, trying to keep those below 100K for this year and deferring some of the other more expensive things to later if possible. The second thing, which is somewhat good news and somewhat bad news, you may know that we receive a federal grant of $2.5 million to cover a portion of our costs for the department. And we do a drawdown every month. And you also may know that there was a government shutdown. So the good news about that was we were able to submit our 200K drawdown for this last period before the shutdown, just about a day or so before. We're hopeful that things will resolve themselves so we can do our next drawdown by the end of October. So a little bit mixed good news, bad news, but really the focus right now is just looking at all of those potential costs, revenue, and ways to make some improvements and where to make cuts and so forth. So it'll be interesting to see how things, I've reviewed some of the financial things for today and I'll try to participate as much as possible. But to see where there might be some alignment with what we have going on and some strategies as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. Dawn?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Lot going on at the library, but I have just 4 updates today. We are planning the law library programming for the year ahead. This is a big move for us, trying to highlight the fact that we have a county law library inside the Tillamook Main Library, and doing that through programming this year. The first program is going to be on October 17th. It's going to be Family Law Basics at 5 p.m. You should see it out there on social media. It's been getting some good traction. So we're hoping this will help people to just be aware of this resource in the community, as well as provide some additional opportunities for people to learn about some legal basics. So that's coming up. We also, in this past month, we installed cameras at every library location focused on the very front door of each location. As well as here at the Tillamook Main, we have sensors in the restrooms to help us to identify when someone is vaping in the bathroom. It works. It's worked a few times now. It has provided us ample opportunity to have community engagement with folks around the use of the bathrooms and how we want them used. So that's been great. And we and the cameras focused on entryways will allow us both to eventually get an accurate door count for all of our locations, as well as for us to be able to identify folks and get images of folks if there are major issues with behavior rule violations and exclusions from the library. So we're excited to have that capability in all of our libraries. As you know, if you are at one of our smaller libraries, that there's just one person there. So I'm always sort of mindful of the security situation at those locations, and knock on wood, we're very fortunate that we don't have a ton of security issues at those locations. The vast majority of issues that go on happen here at the Tillamook Main Library, and we're well resourced to deal with those issues. So we in implementing those cameras, there's been some I've identified some areas where we need to have a little bit better grasp of the policies. And so in the not too distant future, commissioners, you should expect to see a draft policy for review around library surveillance cameras. And then we also, along those lines in policy, have been working for the past 3-4 months on a update to the collection management policy. It was one of the policies when we went through and updated all of the library policies that I knew needed more work, but didn't want to sidetrack the entire library policy review process with it. And so had a good group of library board members and staff members work on this policy. They did an amazing job of updating it, making sure it is a lot more clear. And then it has gone past the library board. So again, commissioners, you should expect to see a draft version of that policy soon for review. And the biggest, I think, piece for that policy is it's just a lot clearer about our selection criteria and deselection criteria, which I'd alluded to before, but if you really poked and prodded at it, it was kind of like, well, what does all that mean? Now it spells it out a lot more clearly. So think that'll be very useful. And then of course it is October, and so at the end of the month we are getting ready for the community Halloween. It is, some of you may know, the day that is most visited here at the Tillamook Main Library. We get a large number of families coming through. The staff go all out in trying to provide a fun day where, and this year I believe the theme is going to be a haunted forest. So if you are around and dressed up on that day, stop on by the library. We'd love to see you. And that's it for the library today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Jackie?
Jackie advises there's no update.
Okay, Joel?
Good morning. Nothing for the group today. Thank you.
Nick?
Hey, so Friday we're having our veterans convention at the fairgrounds. There's gonna be different services there. Lunch will be provided. We'll be having handouts, handing out old TA50 gear, blankets. We got some food handouts. Also, there'll be a raffle and lunch will be provided by Pacific Restaurant. Another thing I'd like to talk about is we hired a veteran service coordinator, Todd Gross. So he's currently training and job shadowing. So if you see him around the courthouse, that's one of our new hires. That's it.
Thank you. And Randy?
Good morning. I'm coming from the wonderful town of Bend right now. So anyway, I've got a conference, but I'm kind of in between, so I was able to sit in on this. So anyway, we still have 2 of our FEMA grants that we're still moving forward with that me and Chris are working on with the Holden Creek and the flood sensor ones. We just keep giving them more and more information every week, it sounds like. So not sure when it's ever going to end, but hopefully it'll end soon and they'll stop asking us for more information. So we'll just wait and see on those 2 there. I did get notification back on our full-scale exercise that FEMA was going to help us with next year's on hold, of course, until they find out what's going to happen with the shutdown. But I feel confident we're still going to be able to go forward with that. Locally, we've finished our emergency response plan for hazardous material, and that plan is in final review with our local emergency planning committee and will be adopted here shortly. We also have finished our energy resiliency plan, and it's in its final stages of review to make sure and see when we'll be able to get that one put before the county commission for adoption on that one too. So on the horizon, I'm looking at being able to bring in some locally taught and local classes in both incident command system, that's the 300 and 400 course, and I'm also looking at bringing in some EOC emergency operation center training too on that one. And that will involve just some basic training on what the EOC is, some different positions that are in the EOC. Also, the real important one will be one that is for our elected officials and other important people within the county that kind of go over their roles and responsibilities during emergencies. And that's just a half-day course. And so as soon as I get some firm dates set up for this and secure some locations, I'll be sending out those invitations to people that should be attending that, and we'll definitely get it advertised for those that may have slipped through the cracks and I didn't realize should be there. So anyway, we're looking at probably November, December on these, and possibly even into January on that training. So I just want to give people at least, 6 to 8 weeks of lead time so they can adjust their schedules and be able to attend these trainings. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Rachel.
Thank you, Randy.
Go ahead.
Maybe it's probably the same question. Do you have a date on the emergency preparedness meeting?
Yes, we're looking at October 20th. I'm still, I was looking at a day that we could bring the National Weather Service here in person, and that was the first date that they were be able to bring us a person. Taja, who's the main supervisor there, is checking with the meteorologist that would be here, but he was deployed out on a fire here last week, and so hopefully we'll get the firm timing on when during the day that we'll have that. But I'm looking at mid-morning on the 20th, and that's on Monday, I do believe.
Thank you.
And now that the federal government is shut down, is it a meeting we can have without our national partners?
I haven't heard with the National Weather Service whether or not where they fall into this. If that is the case, then we're gonna, we'll either have to postpone it even further if we want to have National Weather Service there, or just move forward without them. But I haven't heard back from them that says that they can't do it. So, but I'll reach out and just make sure that we're still on board for that date and have them there. And we really wanted to have them there in person. We've had them virtually before, and that hasn't been as productive as having them here in person.
Yeah, it is nice to have them in person. So also from me, can you share a little about the Great American Shakeout?
Oh, yes. This is going to be the third year that the county is participating in the Great American Shakeout. What we do is our local emergency preparedness groups throughout the county have met together and come up with a exercise plan for October 16th at 10:16 in the morning. We'll have the exercises basically for an earthquake, and we follow that up with a tsunami evacuation drill, which means as soon as the shaking stops on that day, that you go ahead and grab your go bag and your cat and head to your nearest assembly area. And all the assembly areas within the county will have people there from the emergency volunteer groups, and they're there to basically take some inventory on numbers of people that showed up. And there's also surveys that they want the participants to fill out, basically like, how are they notified? Was there any problems getting to their locations? And so it's been a great exercise. We do open up our emergency operating center. We utilize our local ham radio and our local GMRS radio people to communicate into the EOC numbers and other information that we ask them for, is to kind of test that system too. Like I say, it's worked out extremely well last few years. We started off with 300 participants, went up to over 600 last year, and we're shooting for 1,000 this year. So hopefully it'll be a great exercise again. And again, it's a great way for us to test both our alerting system and make sure people understand what they're supposed to do in case of tsunami emergency.
Thank you. Can you explain where people go to? I've been amazed by the number of people who don't know whether they live or work in a tsunami zone. Can they find that information on the emergency management website, or where should people go to look that up? There could be people in this room who live in a tsunami zone and don't know it.
Yes, well, I do have some links on the county website, but you can go to tsunami.gov, and that's a good place to start. And they will, and you can look up and look at the different maps throughout the whole county, the whole West Coast, and you can see, where you're at. You can make your own little evacuation map to see whether or not you're in that area and where your nearest assembly point is. A lot of the areas it gives you, when you look at those zones, it's got for both a distant tsunami, like the ones that would come from Alaska or Japan or Russia. And then the one that would happen off of our Cascadia, which of course is a larger inundation zone. But that's, like I say, your best bet's to go into that tsunami.gov, and then it'll give you some links into some other sites, and that'll really help out to where you can start looking at where you're at and see whether or not you are in a zone or not. And if you're not in a zone, again, you know, you've got to just be prepared for, you know, damage that will be done in and around you. So, and with the funding that's being gone on, I've heard from our Geological Society that new maps will probably not be printed and handed out, that we'll have to go to the tsunami.gov site and do any printing ourselves out of those maps. So, like I say, that's your best place to go. I do have some links off of the county website.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Bell?
Sure, well, I will just expand on the shakeout for a minute there. Among our county offices, the Barbie Jetty Campground, which is the headquarters of Parks, is the county department that's most at risk in the case of a tsunami. So, you know, I hope, Dan and I haven't talked about this year, but last year they practiced their evacuation, and I hope they plan on doing that again this year. And I'll join them if they are. It's really important to practice. And so if you live in a tsunami zone, it's important to know where your evacuation route is and to practice to make sure it's not overgrown by raspberries. That is a real threat here. And, you know, or fallen trees or branches or whatever, you need to be able to practice in every season and in every time of day and make sure that it's accessible. And additionally, though, that everybody who travels, so the sheriff's office, transporting juveniles, every department that is out and about, you know, we have tsunami zones all over the place in this county, and our employees really need to know, like, if something happens and you're out and about, how do you get to safety? So it applies to all of us. And so I really hope people practice and know where the tsunami zones are, and especially have a plan for your family if your house is in one. And also, I wanted to mention, on the subject of emergency management, we had a great meeting in North County, I think it was last week, at Nehalem Bay Fire Department with a bunch of volunteer groups. It was a really cool multi-agency meeting about emergency caches. The North County communities want to develop more emergency caches. So Randy was there, and folks from Jeff Gilbert and Marlene, I can't remember her new last name, it just changed, it was Zignatowski, is from OEM were there, and also the EDCNB, which is the Emergency Volunteer Corps of Nehalem Bay, and also representatives from the cities from Manzanita, Wheeler, Nehalem, and Rockaway Beach, and the fire district up there. So all this group formed a coalition, like North County Communities Coalition, to move this work forward. So, and they've involved the state and they've involved the county. And so we're all working together on this project, and it was really cool and dynamic because it was a great example of public-private working together. And Jeff Gilbert from the state Orem said, you know, this is ideal because we can't be the people on the ground who drive this. We can't be the champions of your communities, and we can't do everything, but we can support you, and we can direct you, and we can try to find funding for you, but we can't do this without you. And so and same for us, you know, the county can't, well, for one thing, we can't do the services that are happening in cities, but we can support them, we can partner with them. But also, we're responsible for everything unincorporated, including all of the unincorporated communities in between the cities. So it was the whole group working together in a fabulous way, And I was just so grateful that we have so many invested people in our community doing this work. So it was outstanding, and I was super hopeful about it. So speaking of public-private partnerships, I hope that that my fellow commissioners will also talk about Nehalem Bay Health Clinic and Pharmacy grand opening, which we were all at on Saturday. It was really great. And what I want to say about it is that it was also an outstanding example of public-private partnerships, in that that couldn't have happened without the grassroots, ground floor, incredible work of a local board and the support of citizens. I learned at that event that it was 3,600 voters who overwhelmingly passed a $10 million bond. And I didn't realize it was so few. I knew it was our district, but I didn't realize it was so few because I live there. And, you know, which is dramatic. But then also, we needed federal money and state money and private money. Hampton Lumber donated the lumber for the building. And Senator Johnson donated money from the Samuel L. Johnson Foundation, but she asked that it be used to honor a local Manzanita citizen, which was awesome. And also, I was very moved by the place is full of extraordinary original art. I've never been in a health clinic that's an art gallery, and but it's fitting for North County because North County has a strong art focus. And so it was so hopeful. It's 3 times bigger than their current facility, which I use, so I know that it's cramped and old and funky. And there's only room for one person at a time in the pharmacy, so when you go in, you have to take a beeper and wait your turn. And so it's just exciting. And there's a dental office in there, which there's never been before. So it was, it made me think about, there are a lot of really great things happening in our community, and a lot of them are public-private partnerships, which is great to me. And Tobias Reed was there, our state treasurer. That was great. And Congresswoman Bonamici, it was terrific. And lastly, I want to share with all of you first, this is hot off the press news, that I will file for re-election today. My office doesn't know this, my colleagues don't know this. And I will, and I wanted to share with you because you all are part of my process. Like I have been, it's been hard for me to choose, to decide what I wanted to do, because my brother has been heavily recruiting me for 5 years since before I filed to run for re-election last time, to join him in Alaska. And he lives on a beautiful, picturesque island on Southeast Alaska, which I love. So it is very compelling to me. And it would just be an amazing adventure, and it's very compelling to me. And so I've just been like, oh, and I've been talking to trusted confidants and writing and praying, and I decided on Friday that I'm gonna run for election, and all of you are part of the reason. And so what I came to is that I feel really great and strongly about things that we're doing right now here that I want to continue to be a part of. We're building the Central Services Department, all of this work, the financial work that we're headed into this afternoon. There are so many things going on with the county right now that I am passionate about, that I want to continue to be a part of, that I won't feel good about walking away from and just hoping you get somebody good. So anyway, I'm going to file for re-election today, and you all are a big part of the reason. So that's it.
Who wants to follow that?
I can, I'm happy to hear that. I think we have a lot of work still to do.
Yeah.
I don't think I've mentioned this because we have on September 18th, we had a meeting on code enforcement. Josh, Sarah, Chris, Justin, myself, I convened them all. And I thought it was a very, very great meeting. I actually had an agenda that I wrote up, which was fantastic. We've talked about, basically all the code enforcement, not including parking. It wasn't about that. It was about solid waste and the zombie RVs and all the things that we're dealing with that. It was just a way of getting us all together, cause all of these departments are each involved somehow with all of these, and then they've been kind of siloed, so now we're kind of coordinating together. Identifying properties, finding out, there was one property that I've been getting complaints of since I came into office, and I looked, and I was telling Sarah about this, there was an illegal building being built. And I'm like, God, if we just get more photos, and I looked, and the county owns the property right next door, so we can literally get a tripod and set it up and take pictures of this property. So finding out more about these properties, and we all know which ones there are, there's all over the county, but we identified like 4 or 5 of them. And what the process will be, it kind of highlighted that we really need to make movement on our code enforcement officer, some people to come in and start doing compliance. So we talked about working on work orders, how do we assign this, whose department handles it, how we're gonna fund some of these cleanups if we have to do it if it's on our property or public land. It was really a great meeting where everybody kind of like said, oh, well, I can't do this, but you can do this, and I can't get in that property this way, but you can. We talked about using the hearings officer and using justice court when we would use either one. Talked about rewriting some ordinances, having coordinated response, and talked about additional signage and how sheriff's office would be involved with removing vehicles, tagging vehicles. So it was a great, I don't wanna go on and on, but it was a great working group task force, we're gonna call it. We have another meeting set for the 31st, I think. We have to dress up for that. Anyway, so that was great. I wanna make people know that. If you have any questions about that, contact any one of our department heads. Matt, you weren't here, Josh was here for that one, but I think you were doing something else, but he wanted to be involved. Only other thing I wanna mention is, and Christy's not on, I don't think, is she? So her and I have been talking, you know, the clerk's office has been using the text.gov that we're paying for, and the more I talk to her about the benefits of it, I really feel like, at least with my liaison shit, so I'm not trying to push it, but I think other departments should really look at and call her and ask what they were doing, cause what she's finding out is a lot of the simple repeat questions that we get for parks or community development, they can answer online with these texts. We can use it for every department. I think, and if you look at our website, there's a big blinking text.gov, and what's amazing about it is it has saved them talking to people on the phone. So it's more efficient of their time, but we can use it for everything. We can use it for emergency management, we can use it for sheriff's office questions, if they have like concealed weapons questions, they can just get their answers there. Rather than go, they don't have to go to the website, they can just text questions. Parks, a lot of the questions they're getting is, can I get a reservation for barbecue this weekend? So there's obviously people are responding to it, they've gotten quite a bit. So I will be talking to my departments that I'm a liaison with, and what Chrissy had said that her and Jeff from IT can kind of help. It's really simple to get set up, and you can just start with a couple of basic questions, the most common questions. And I think it'd be great if we used it more, since we are paying for a countywide service. So that's all. We'll be talking to you guys about that. So think about it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea. We were talking about efficiencies and how we do that, and that sounds like it's like,
Yeah, if we have
could be a
vacancy,
really good one.
yeah.
Yeah.
If we're dealing with vacancies, if we can't fill, can we fill some of that need with these efficiencies?
Right, with more clear answers, so. Okay, well, I feel like I've just been running all over, it feels like maybe the state and the county over the last month. I don't have any great public-private partnership conversations or great stuff in the county, but it just feels like I've been in a lot of different places. We had Wyden's Town Hall, we had Bonamici had a town hall, I went to both of those. I was down on the south coast for ONC Timber, which Chris already talked about, the fact that we are just assuming federal timber money at this point is a no-go. So happy the transportation package is gonna come through hopefully at the state level, although there is a group pushing to get that on the ballot. We'll see if that happens, which would repeal, I think they're putting the tax increase portion of it on the ballot. So we're all watching that to see, because that, if it does go to ballot and fails, could pull that money back from us. So we'll just kind of keep watching and see where that goes. But the ONC Timber Group continues to advocate at the federal level to try to get SRS reauthorized and to try to get money coming back to the county. So, and they feel positive about it. They had some good conversations with the Secretary of the Interior, who is the one that oversees BLM, which is where much of this happens, as well as the Forest Service. So fingers crossed that might actually come back to us, but it's gonna take some time before that happens. We had our Working Lands and Waters tour in September, which was fabulous. It's always a great tour. We had commissioners from across the state. We had actually Janelle Bynum's staff, and she's Speaker of the House, I believe. So that was really nice to have state represented staff at this. So we're gonna try to push that a little harder in our future tours, because so much of what happens to Tillamook County happens to us by uninformed folks at a state level. So it's really important that we are getting the folks at the state level well informed about what happens here and why, what they're proposing are bad ideas. So anyway, it was a good tour, good piece there. We had Salmon Creek Trail fundraiser I went to a couple weeks ago over in Banks, and then we have the Nahalem Bay Health Center pharmacy opening this weekend, which was really super exciting. That was a piece of property that Sarah and I and John Southgate, on our first housing coordinator, Jake, was with us. We had lined up all the properties across the county that we thought were big enough to possibly have a multifamily housing development on them when we were visiting all of them. And I don't think this piece of property was actually on our list. We were just driving by on 101 and the sign was there, and I was like, hey, have we ever looked at that one? And Sarah's like, yeah, but it's got some. So we pulled over and started walking and talking, and because it had to be ground floor retail. So then we started dreaming a little bit, and I had been part of the strategic planning process at Nahalem Bay Health District, and I knew that board was looking for more and creative ways to engage and help in the community. So I called Mark and I'm like, I have a crazy idea. What do you think? So anyway, it turned into a health center, not housing, but it was a really cool project. So I was really honored to be able to be one of the speakers this weekend as they opened it, because that is an amazing facility. Commissioner Bell really talked eloquently about what it brings to the community. So yeah, so I just feel like I'm running in lots of directions, being the face of the county.
And Mark Johnson, the chair of the Nahalem Bay Health Center board, specifically praised and thanked Commissioner Scar and said, this idea actually came from Commissioner Scar, and we wouldn't be here without her, so bravo.
And he queued me up, he said, we should put something here. So I was like, yeah, housing, but turned into a clinic. But there will be housing at the top of the hill eventually, once they tear down the old hospital and remodel the health centers, or the senior care center. So we will get our housing there eventually. But no, that is an amazing board. So if you don't follow the health district at all, I encourage you to really look at what they've achieved. In 2017, they were down to, I think it was 2 board members of their 5, and the commissioners had to appoint that 3rd board member so they could reach quorum, so that they could appoint their other 2 and really begin, figuring out what was next. And they have taken that like wholeheartedly. They did their strategic plan in 2018 and have done another one since. So they're a great model of a board.
It's an amazing building, it's a beautiful building.
It is. Go take a tour.
You
I'm
go
just gonna go
upstairs and you
sit
sit in the
lobby.
waiting area.
Yeah.
And like Michelle was like, I could just sit here all day and look at the bay. I mean, it's, the views are to die for.
That's what I told Gail. I said, if I have
Colors are
any meetings in
great.
North County, I'll be sitting in your lobby with my laptop, just
Absolutely.
working, looking out at the bay.
And
'Cause
the
it's
artwork,
absolutely
like,
gorgeous.
Have a meeting room?
They do.
Yeah,
They do. They have the Leela Salmon community room.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The stove and the oven and.
Yeah, it's on the
Refrigerator.
second floor. I didn't ask it what the details were on renting it, but yeah, it's a
It's a good
community room, so community meetings can be held up there, and I don't know what the capacity of that room is. I would guess 50 maybe.
Maybe, yeah, that's the
Bigger
room
than
that.
this.
Bigger than that.
Big, yeah, differently
Yeah,
shaped, so
with
it's
the, with the kitchen.
And a view.
kitchenette.
I mean,
And the view.
Oh, the view, that's.
have a view.
I don't know how
That's
you
the
get
real-
any.
well, the funny
garden
thing is, they
view
talked
there.
about the offices where the seat, like everybody else, all the manager's office, they have the garden view, which is just the road going up to
Oh,
the
right.
Rhinehart Clinic, but.
Yeah.
But the front, oh my god.
Yeah.
Community
Yeah,
rooms
it's
are amazing.
beautiful.
Yeah, the community room is the one that Senator Johnson funded, and it's so nice. Yeah, and they designed the building so that all of the public spaces are on the west side with the views. So all of the public spaces,
Even the
including
dental offices
stairwell.
have, the north, you can still see the bay.
Yeah.
From when you get in your carriage, so.
Yeah, it's nice, very nice.
Okay, anything else? Okay, we'll adjourn.